to lighter things. You know, you're saying about not remembering what we've written and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It reminded me it's going to get even worse when I've got all these other umpires to look after, because I still now, if I turn up for an assessment or a coaching or something, I get umpires saying, "Oh, I always remember what you said to me, Jeanette," and I'm thinking, what did I say? I have no idea. and then they come out with something. I'm thinking, that's quite good, actually. I don't remember saying it, but yeah, sure, I'll take that. Fine. I must have said it at some point. Anyway. Right, okay, where are we? 112 this week.
112.
You gonna press record?
This meeting is being recorded.
Hey, lady, you're here again. How exciting. All right, 3, 2, 1. This is Trainer Talk, the podcast, brought to you by Sharon Gaskin of the Trainers Training Company and me, Jeanette Tessier of the Get That Gang. In our weekly show, we cover news and views from our businesses, along with a top-of-mind topic. Of course, it wouldn't be Trainer Talk, the podcast, without the Dog Walking Digest, and every now and again we invite a guest along to share their experience and expertise. After 90 episodes of just audio, we're now on YouTube as well. So feel free to catch up there. Just search for the Trainers Training Company or the Get That Gang, or download us on audio only through your favourite podcast streamer. So why not sit back with a cuppa, make that journey or chore go a little bit quicker with our weekly inspiration for developing your training business. Welcome. This is Trainer Talk, the podcast, and we're at episode number 112. And Sharon, I know you've got exciting news. Gaskin Jr. is back in the fold. Is that right?
Yes, indeed. The boy is in the house. Well, he's in the house at the moment, but I haven't seen him today.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm letting him off because obviously this is, getting over jet lag, and, don't think he really slept at all on Saturday night. So yes, so this is, but from tomorrow, normal service will be resumed because I'll be banging on his door at 8 o'clock with a coffee, making sure he gets out of bed.
Quite right too, as all good mummies should do. But there is a serious point, isn't there, which we were discussing, which is it's very easy when you've got sort of jet lag and all that kind of stuff to kind of slip into a habit, really bad sleeping habits.
Yeah.
And I think it's better to adjust, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
it really is, which is why I do knock on his door at 8 o'clock, which we did that at Christmas, and it did work a lot better, because previous, when he comes home, he does get into this pattern of, sleeping into lunchtime and then not being able to get to sleep till 3 o'clock in the morning, and then it all perpetuates.
Absolutely.
So catch up on sleep today and then tomorrow.
Perfect.
Back to normal.
So we might get a guest appearance on the podcast next week then.
Yeah, maybe.
Never know your luck. You see all these people watching us on YouTube are going to go, oh my goodness, we get to see Ryan.
Depends whether he looks presentable or not.
Well, there is that. Yeah.
If there's any facial hair going on, he won't be presenting himself. So.
There are rules. Okay.
Oh God. Honestly, sometimes, he just looks like an old tramp with a beard. I was like, God, I don't mind you having a beard, but, honestly, you look like a tramp. So light yourself up.
Sort it out, boy. Come on.
Sort it out. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. So apart from obviously being excited about Ryan coming home and now being home, how else was your week last week?
It was, how was it? It was a bit kind of, lots of things, bits go. I mean, it was the football, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Should we start there?
Okay, all right then. You with your dual nationality.
Dual nationality, indeed. But, I'm down to one. It's a good job I've got dual nationality, because otherwise I wouldn't have a team right now, would I?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so disappointing on Saturday. It was really disappointing, but never mind. But they're up against the likely winners. They were playing the likely winners of the tournament. In my book, because I think Denmark are going to go all the way and perhaps even win the thing. Because I think momentum is on their side, and this emotion, and and all this kind of stuff. So mark
Well,
my words.
they've
You
had
heard
a
it here
bit going
first.
on, haven't they? They have had a bit
Yeah,
going on in the tournament so far. So yeah, who knows? Who knows? And I do think, I mean, I have little experience of Danish people, but the experience I have had of Danish people is they're quite nice, really.
yeah,
And it's difficult
indeed.
when
Yeah.
a race of quite nice people go through. So we'll see. So you're now England and Denmark, is that right?
Yes. What in terms of well, until they play each other, and then I'll
I mean,
then there'll be
I'm
a bit
not
to say.
saying, I'm not saying you flip flop on who you're supporting or anything like that. But anyway,
You've got to support someone, haven't you, when
this
it's
is
the
true.
Euros?
This is
But
true.
anyway, big match tomorrow night, isn't it?
Yep.
So England, Germany. So
Yeah. Do you know, I
yeah,
was thinking about this and thinking, whilst on the one hand, it would be great for the country, for the football team to do well, because let's face it, they all get paid enough to train
yeah.
enough to do something special. And there are some special players in the squad for sure. But at the same time, if we were to win something like the Euros or heaven forbid the World Championship,
World Cup,
yeah,
Jeanette.
cup. Sorry, I was just thinking, what's it called? But the thing that really gets me is the number of idiots that are going to be going around using that as an excuse to be complete Larry lads.
Oh yeah,
Do you know what I mean? The
I
kind
do,
of
yeah.
beer swilling, top off kind of
Oh, why do you
England,
take their
England,
tops off?
right? It's like, yes, I can be proud of my country doing well in a sporting tournament without being horrifically horrible hooligan like
Oh,
about it. There you go.
well,
That's your alliteration for the morning. But yeah,
yes.
it was just genuinely the other day. I was thinking, God, I kind of hope we don't, because it's going to be intolerable for all these lads.
Well, most of them aren't even lads, are they? Let's
No,
face it.
I know. That's the awful thing, isn't it? It's kind of they were lads in the 90s and Euro 96 and all this kind of stuff. And now it's like, no, seriously, put it away. We do not need that. Thank you. But yeah, anyway, that was just a random thought that came across my stream
Yes.
of consciousness last week. Carry on. What else
Yeah,
happened
well,
last week?
it's been all good fun on the football front. Wimbledon starts today, of
Yes,
course.
of course, yes.
But Rafa's not in it, so.
I know, but I really quite like, it's a bit like when Strictly's on, I quite like getting into watching It Takes Two, although I didn't do it much last year. For Wimbledon, I really like Today at the Championships, and just sort of, catching up with all of that. And
Today at Wimbledon,
yeah,
yes, indeed,
yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we've got that to look forward to for the next 2 weeks. So yes, looking forward to that. On the business front, this week, a few bits and pieces happening. We had a spotlight session for our lovely Trainers Hut members, and Karen Curiton, who's our resident social media expert in Trainers Hut, she came back, did a part 2 on LinkedIn. The first one that she did, we were looking at LinkedIn profiles, and this time around she did a how to find your perfect clients on LinkedIn, which was interesting. That was good.
Could I just before you move on, has that improved your feelings about LinkedIn? Because I haven't seen it, and I don't know why it didn't end up in my diary. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, not really. I will just never love LinkedIn.
No, me neither.
I just won't. It's just a
yeah.
It's just it's a personal preference thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an intuitive thing. It's a feeling, and but interesting. I'll come on to LinkedIn again in a second. But Tuesday tips that I do on Facebook. Every Tuesday at 12:30 on the Facebook page and in the free Facebook group. It was really funny. It started off me talking, because I brought Matt on.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Matt's one of my team members. I brought Matt on, and to really talk about what's happening in the training industry right now, because obviously he talks to a lot of training companies, picks up the phone to them, etc. And this whole session kind of morphed into a session about cold calling.
As you do, yeah.
Which was really interesting, actually. Lots of people were asking Matt questions about, his experience of, picking up the phone and what people were like and stuff. I said to him, at the end, I said, you've been doing this like a long time. Come on, spill the beans. Is anybody ever really nasty to you? he said, no, not really. So like a
Oh,
couple, but the point is, most people are really nice, aren't
yeah,
they? You know,
yeah,
really,
yeah.
you know. So
Definitely. I think it does make a difference as well about your attitude going into it. I mean, I remember in my old corporate days, you used to get some people calling up and it's just like, oh yeah, I've got this thing that you really need. You have no idea whether or not I really need that or not. It's just,
yeah,
it's horrible. So you feel like you reciprocate in terms of their attitude. But if somebody's phoning in, I'm just checking and just want to see and just want to ask about and all this kind of stuff, it's much easier to be nice to somebody that's nice in the first place, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. Because and we had a great question on it actually, which was about what is your opening line? You know, when you're calling people that you don't know, what do you say? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and he just sort of said, "Oh, I just ask them how they are." You know, just say, "Oh, hi, it's Matt, how are you?" And he said, like most people, like you get the odd one who might say, "Who are you? I don't know you." You know, kind of.
Yeah.
But most people just, "Oh, yeah, I'm okay, thanks. How are you?" And then you get into this conversation, and
Yeah.
it's a great kind of because ultimately, and we were talking about this on the session. People are people, and they like to be engaged with and spoken to
Yeah.
at the kind of human level,
Mm-hmm.
and I do believe actually that a lot of people do miss a trick with that cold calling. They're
Mm-hmm.
so frightened of picking up the phone and talking to people that they actually probably miss out on probably one of the biggest things that will bring them business.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's really interesting. And I mean, one of the things that we've said before and just slipped through my head was when you were saying about Matt was saying, well, yeah, most people are really nice, ask them how they are and just get into conversation.
yeah,
And the thing that slipped into my head was, oh, of course, but he's not selling anything. And it's like, yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah,
nobody should be selling anything when they're making that initial phone call. That initial phone call, as Audrey, lovely Audrey Bodman, keeps telling us,
yeah.
it's not about selling.
No, it
You're
isn't.
getting on the
No.
phone to find out.
Mm,
You're just having a conversation. That's all it is.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
yeah. Yeah, it was. It was interesting and it seemed to go down really well. But yes, talking about LinkedIn,
Hmm.
I have had my application approved for LinkedIn
This
Live.
is exciting and about blooming time.
I know.
Wow.
I literally, it was really weird because I put in 2 applications and never heard anything.
Yeah.
And after this thing on Tuesday, because I thought, oh, this discussion would have been great on LinkedIn. Yeah, it's good on Facebook, but as we know, probably most of my prospective
Yeah.
audience are on LinkedIn. And I just thought, oh, do you know what? I'm just gonna try again. But bizarrely this time, like last time, you had to fill in a load of stuff about how you were going to use LinkedIn Live and how many
Yeah.
times you plan to go. Like, there were a number of questions, and this time there wasn't that. They just wanted to know what your LinkedIn profile was and whether you wanted to just go live on your profile or on your page.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just thought, even better, I don't even have to fill in their questions. So it's worth another shot.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened to the first 2. Let's just bung it in. And literally next morning I got up and it had been approved. I'm like,
Wow.
oh my God. And then so it now means that Tuesday thing, because I do it on StreamYard,
Yes, you can do
I
both.
can stream it to
Perfect.
Facebook and LinkedIn at the same time.
Brilliant.
But already my blooming LinkedIn thing is kicking in like, oh my God, all these sneaky people on LinkedIn. I'm going to get all these trolls on LinkedIn,
Oh
get
my
on
goodness.
Facebook.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, kind of the LinkedIn police going, oh, who does she think she is? She doesn't know anything.
Well, do you know what? That is definitely a limiting belief, isn't it? Because there are very few times that there will be commentary from somebody who is established. I think from somebody who isn't established and it's not obvious that they've been doing what they're doing for a while and they've got lots of followers, or they haven't got lots of followers, I should say, then I think it's easier for the trolls to go, oh, what the hell do you know? But anybody doing any investigation, your LinkedIn profile actually has the highest number of likes and follows than any of your other social media channels. So I think anybody even attempting to go, who the hell does she think she is? What does she know? Somebody somewhere is going to go, excuse me, actually,
Yeah. But do you know what? I think it'll be fine, because what I'll be doing really is doing it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it'll just be going to LinkedIn. So
Exactly.
it's not as if I feel like I'll be sitting on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'll actually be sitting on
Yeah.
Facebook, and the comments will be coming in and
Totally.
whatnot. But
Are you doing it from your profile or from your page on LinkedIn?
profile? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Pages
as
are
we know,
useless.
LinkedIn pages don't get much reach. I don't know why they bother having
No,
them.
I
So,
know. Crazy.
you know, so but that'll be interesting. So but then I was thinking every Tuesday, and it's the usual thing, I've just got to think of something to talk about, just like we do on the podcast every week. It's like, okay.
I know,
but
it's odd,
I'm
isn't
going to
it?
bring guests on. I think I'll I'll be knocking on doors.
I was going to say, yeah, right. Depends what time on a Tuesday. I have, standing meetings Tuesday mornings.
Oh
But,
well, yeah, I'm sure you'll find time.
I'm sure I'll manage. Yeah.
So that's going on, and also Complete Trainer. We got to the finish line last week. I say the finish line, but it's not really, is it?
It's like a lap. We finished a lap. Yeah,
exactly. Because with the Complete Trainer, as you know, once you join the program, then you're kind of in it for life. And we've already the people who've been through it for the first time, some of them have already said, oh, they'll definitely be back, because we have. We still have our training sessions every couple of weeks, and they can do the catch up at the end of every month, and they can also join in with the Trainers Fork weekly clinics, which are going to be weekly from this Thursday.
I
know. So it's kind of goodbye, but not really. But for us, we've reached the end of the first round of stuff
completely
in a Complete Trainer.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, where it's kind of the end, but it's not really the end. So
not really, no.
It's really good to see the people that were on the catch-up call are the people who have been quite consistent with what they've been doing with it, which is great. So you just know that the success in whatever form that takes, or what they're looking for, is absolutely down the road for them, because they're putting in the work. I mean, one of the things we talked about, wasn't it, was that you can have the knowledge, but unless you actually put that knowledge into action, nothing changes. You can know everything about everything, but unless you do something, nothing's going to change.
You're just all you're doing is just taking in information. You're just taking in more and more and more information without actually actioning any of it,
So true.
So yeah, but that has been good. So that was literally my week, I think. Or the highlights of the week, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yours sounds much more busy and exciting than mine was. Not that I didn't have exciting bits in mine, but lovely rather than exciting is probably the best way to describe it. So there were a few catch-up meetings with people, a few exploratory meetings with people, a few more recordings of testimonials for you for Transform. Right. So that's good. So one more to go this week, I think, and then I'll be able to start editing things together, which is very exciting. So that was good. We had prior to the final Complete Trainer the Complete Trainer catch up that we had for the first lap. I had another guest expert come in on the Wednesday, Angie Brown, to talk about time management, which was really good, and as is absolutely perfect for somebody who is a time management specialist, we finished early. So that
I thought you were going to say she was late.
No, but I was. I recorded I do my 2-minute tips in the Get That Gang Facebook group every day, every weekday, and I was late that day for all sorts of things, just persistently late for everything. And I was saying when I recorded the video afterwards, I do get the irony of talking about time management when I am late delivering the video. I said, don't talk to me about time management. I am not a time management expert. But this is what we got, or some of the stuff that we got out of the time management session. So I sort of shared a few little tidbits from her talking about how to manage your time more effectively. So that was really cool. Doing that one, and then of course it was the end of month call for Denise Duffield Thomas, so the Money Bootcamp program that we're both in, and I do try and catch that one live. I had to break off for a quarter of an hour, 20 minutes to record a testimonial for you for Transform, but that was good. So listening to that, but it's always these things seem to come around so quickly. It's like, really, it's the end of another month. What is going? I mean, we're practically halfway through the year.
I
It's
know.
just bonkers.
Christmas cards will be in the shops.
Oh, for sure. For
They will.
sure. I did see a post on Facebook the other day, somebody with a countdown to Christmas. It's like, oh, really? Do we have to just, I mean, I'm not quite as bad as you, but I definitely don't want to be talking about it yet. But anyway, so yeah, so that reminds me, just looking in my diary to remind myself what I did last week. Okay, so this is going to be really embarrassing if this person actually listens to the podcast. So if this is you and you recognize yourself, I'm really sorry, but I had a random LinkedIn request from somebody talking as if we know each other. I think I know where he's got my details from, but I'm not 100% sure. And literally, thanks so much for connecting. Wondered if you mind reviewing my website. It's like, right, okay, yeah. Yes, I can do that. It is a service that I offer, is a website review and all the rest of it. But it was just so totally out of the blue, and I didn't get time to do it last week, so I need to do that this week. But it's just like, okay, I can't quite remember meeting you or anything. Anyway, right. So that's fine. But yeah, I mean the week last week was sort of just keeping on ploughing through stuff and getting stuff done. At the weekend, as I was talking to you pre-recording the podcast, was very busy, went very, very quickly because we have various family things going on. I decided that I was going to do my once in a blue moon bit of gardening by trimming the big hedge back and trying to hack through a bit of the jungle that is my front garden. God, it's such a mess. It's just, I'm not green-fingered at all.
No, me neither.
And it's
No.
all right then. So I'm happy once it's done. It's like, yes, that looks a lot neater. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
But not enough to go, oh, I must be out there every weekend doing stuff. So got that done. And by the time I'd done all of that and taken the hedge trimmings over to the dump and got rid and all the rest of it, it was kind of and came back, sorted myself out and got the dog packed up. By the time I got up to Mum and John's, it was like 5 o'clock, and Mum was away for the day doing bowls type stuff. So I was in charge of cooking because John, being diabetic, he does get these kind of lows, and then he'll say, no, I don't want anything to eat. I don't want anything. Gets really, really grumpy. And the best thing for him is to have something to eat. So you virtually have to force him to. So I said to him, I said, right, what sort of time do you want to eat? 6-ish? Like this, and he was going like this at me, sort of looking through his fingers. I said, don't give me that look. You're not going to get away with saying you don't want anything. I said, my life's not worth it. when she comes back and hears that you haven't had anything, you're having something to eat. He's like, all right then. And he was laughing about this. So we ended up having some very nice food, which was good, all done. So by the time Mum got back, which was just gone 8, it was kind of, well, that's Saturday gone. And then Sunday we had a sort of family gathering and various bits and pieces. So Mum was cooking up a storm, over catering as per. So I was helping sort of, just get stuff ready for her and that kind of thing. And she's got tons of bunches of flowers because it's her birthday the weekend before. Some of those needed rearranging and all that kind of stuff because, flowers, depending on where you get them from and what have you and what sort of flowers they are, sometimes they last ages and then sometimes they go off after a few days. So we're sorting a few bunches and that kind of thing out. And then everybody kind of, I say everybody, there were only 2 of them, but they turned up at separate times, but still turned up and then didn't go until quite late. And by the time we'd sort of cleared up and put everything away and said goodbye to the last person, it was like 8 o'clock again. It's like, okay, that'll be the weekend gone then. How did that happen? And I was still thinking, I really wanted to get that thing done this weekend. So I opened up the laptop, and then by the time I'd finished that, it was about 10:30. It's like, ought to go home now, really. So that was that. And then back into the routine this morning, although I said to you, didn't I, the care package, the size of the care package from the mothership is quite large this week, but it's all sweet stuff. It's all puddingy, cakey type things, which is fine once in a while, but I don't actually need to buy any food, and I could be full and have my full calorie intake every single day for the next 5 days just on the amount of stuff. It's like, seriously, how many people do you think live here? There's me and the dog and that's it. I cannot get through all of this stuff. So but she hates waste. So it's like, right, okay, I have to work out which of the stuff that she's given me, can I freeze any of it? And some of it has been frozen previously, so it can't be. But which of it can I freeze? Just because I cannot get through all of that this week. I may have to end up throwing some away. but we say that quietly because she doesn't like waste.
No.
It's a generational thing, I think. But at the same time, it was like, it's lovely that, she wants to take care of her little girl.
Of course.
But at the same time, it's like, I know also the other reason that she's given me all this bloody cake is so she doesn't eat it. So it's, okay, I'm not going to end up the size of a house just because you don't like waste. So so I have to sort that out at some point. And there we are, full circle, all the way back to recording the podcast now. So
there we go.
So top of mind this week, Sharon Gaskin. Introduce it. Yes. I know this is a topic very close to your heart, and indeed it is the first module of the Complete Trainer starting again on Friday.
It really is. It is the M word, isn't it? The M word, otherwise known as marketing. Yes, it is the first module on the Complete Trainer. And the reason why it's the first module is that because it is, is it the most important? Well, I think so. Because if you don't do any marketing, you don't have a business, do you?
True.
And it staggers me the amount of people that I come into contact with, and they go, or even people who run our programs, they won't mind us saying, they go, oh, I don't really do any marketing. I haven't got time for it. So, to which, it staggers me, because to me, it should be the most important thing in your business. Well, it certainly should be given equal importance, 50% delivery, 50% marketing, because if you do not pay attention to that 50% of marketing business development, you do not have a business. And I don't understand why people just can't take that on board. Just like,
I think I think that you and I both know that one of the reasons that there is this big sort of obstacle in front of people with a great big capital M on it is because they feel it is a great big obstacle. They think that marketing is something huge and enormous and impossible, and they're not quite sure how it fits with social media and sales and networking and all these different names for different things that you can do in your business. And I majored in marketing, for want of a better word, when I did my business studies degree. And the reason I did business studies because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. So I'll do business studies, bit of everything. But I actually ended up over the course of the years I was doing it, specialising in marketing. It helps me to think of it in two ways. There's big umbrella of marketing with a capital M, which encompasses everything from social media, PR, blogging, doing lives, networking, cold calling, absolutely anything to do with sales. All of this stuff comes under the big umbrella of big M marketing, right? And then within all of that stuff, there are so many different things that you can do, but you don't have to do everything. That's the thing. It's not about doing as much as possible. It's about doing one thing or more than one thing consistently. And that, I think, is the real sort of nub we need to help people understand this, because if cold calling isn't for you, then it's not for you. There are other things you can do. You don't have to do that. I mean, it might be a really quick way of getting to a particular endpoint, and you might come across, something that you want to achieve where the best way of achieving it is cold calling, but it's not the only part of marketing. It's not the only thing to marketing, but I do think people tend to get themselves so overwhelmed with all the stuff they could be doing. And it has to be said, all the people shouting at them going, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, you should, oh, that thing's dead, you should do this thing, oh, that thing's dead, you should do this thing. I mean, I haven't got enough fingers and toes to count the number of times people have said that email marketing is dead, direct marketing is dead, online courses are dead, webinars are dead. It's just like nothing is dead. It's all on the table. All you have to do is find the stuff that you like doing, which could be as simple as what we've said it before, having a cup of coffee with somebody. That's marketing.
No, absolutely it is. But I think there's something a bit more fundamental here. I mean, I take the point about we've got to make it manageable. In fact, that's the title of the session that I run every Wednesday morning for people. And it's free to come along to. You don't have to be a Trainer Support member to come. And it's called manageable marketing because I say this every week to them. If we all sat here, if I said to you, right, okay, break into groups and come back with a list of 20 things that you could do to market your business.
Yeah.
Nobody on that session, nobody listening to this podcast would have any difficulty whatsoever coming up with that list.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know what to do. There's no shortage of information out there on the internet to find out about stuff, to upskill. It's all this more information. It's out there. We know what to do.
Yeah.
The difficult bit is actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And even underneath that, I think it's, so if you want to sort of delve deeper, it's the mind shift change for people to really, really understand that this is really important.
Yeah.
And to do this, to prioritize the marketing in your business, means you have to not do something else. Mm-hmm. Shock horror, you might have to, turn down a delivery day or rearrange a delivery day or whatever to make space for that marketing in your business. And I do think it's that it is this mind shift change that people have to make.
Yeah.
To really, because it's always like, oh yeah. And typically what I see over and over again is people not doing that, and they because they're so busy with delivery, and then they've got no work, it all dries up, and then they go, oh, I've got to do that marketing again. Oh, now I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. Oh, what do I do? Oh, I know, I'll spend a load of money on this guru, or because they'll show me what to do, or I'll have like a marketing week when I'll make some calls or whatever. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It has got to be done consistently over a period of time, and those are the things that are going to bring you results. And as you quite rightly said, and I'm passionate about this, they can be small things, but the point is that you're weaving them into your day-to-day or weekly activities. You're not just leaving them for the end of the year when you think, oh bloody hell, I better do some I should I better do some marketing because I haven't done any, because that's not how. And this is the thing, one of the things that we want to encourage people to do on the Complete Trainer, isn't it, to move that mentality of just being a trainer who kind of lurches from job to job, and it has the feast and famine, to this mentality, this mindset of a business owner. And the business owner understands that marketing has got to be given equal priority, and they have to make space for it.
Absolutely.
That's the difference.
Completely. And I think, again, we have talked to people and we have seen it play out where people say, oh, I just don't have enough time to do everything I want to do. It's like, who's in charge of your diary? If you are allowing everybody else to be in charge of your diary, no, you won't have time, because people will say, can you deliver on this day? And you say yes. And they say, can you do this thing? And you say yes. And they say, can you move heaven and earth and suit my agenda? And you say yes. And if you allow other people to dictate your diary, then of course you're not going to have time. Whereas if you wrestle back control, and funnily enough, this was one of the tips that came out of the time management session, was to first thing in the morning, make sure that whatever you open up, instead of opening your emails, open your calendar, because your calendar is your a way of controlling what you're doing. Emails are other people's way of trying to control the agenda. You can choose whether or not you can sit down and read and respond to or do something about the emails that come in, but your calendar is the thing that you can protect. And I do think it's easier for people just starting out to start out and say, right, I'm always going to have Fridays as my marketing day, or Mondays as my marketing day, or I'm going to do Monday morning and Friday afternoon as my marketing day, or whatever it might be. And you have to try and protect that time to work on your business as opposed to in your business, so that you can keep business, so that you have enough business to do the delivery for. But this sort of excuse of I haven't got enough time is like, well, okay, so do something about that. You can do something about that. It might mean that, you need to look at your priorities, and you need to look at your limiting beliefs, and you need to do a little bit of mindset work to get yourself in the right headspace. But you can find time to do these things.
Of course you can.
And I'm not coming at this. Please don't anybody think that I'm coming at this from a position of being perfect at this stuff. I absolutely am not. And if you've listened to recent podcast episodes, you will have heard me talking about the revelation that is finding time to write the book by tagging it on to other things that I'm doing. But this was me prior. I just can't seem to find the time to write the book, was because I was placing other people's priorities ahead of my own. But now I've found a way to integrate all of that and to put that effort in, and to it hasn't made any difference to my productivity, but it has meant that I've had the time to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, it is a mind shift change, completely. If somebody, so all these people who say, oh, I haven't got time, I haven't got time to do the marketing, and I've got to give my clients 100% priority, whatever. Bet you any money, if somebody rang them up and said, I've got Wimbledon tickets for Friday, can you come? Oh, it's amazing how they find the time to do that. Or do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'll just put this client, I'll just rearrange this client meeting.
Exactly.
They won't mind, so that I can do that. And so it's just incredible. Whereas like, oh, okay, I've got to do some, I said that I've got marketing in my diary here for Friday, but I've got a client meeting. Oh, I can't possibly put the client meeting off. I'll do, and do you see what I'm saying?
Completely.
It's incredible how people, it's all magic. We have to, you've got to want to do things. There's no magic secret here. You've got to want to do things. We all make time for the things we want to do. The things we don't want to do, we just make excuses. But you have to tap into that desire to to do the marketing in your business, because if you don't, you're not going to have a business.
Totally. I was just going to say exactly that. It's like, don't stop at the I don't like marketing. Tap into the I like having a business. That's the bit to tap into. Yeah,
absolutely. And then it brings it on to yes, okay, let's choose something, let's do something that we do like, that is doable for us, that is, marketing to me is all about personal connection, or and I'm constantly, and that's something I'm very fortunate in, that I do enjoy doing that I do enjoy the personal connection. So the marketing that I do in my business, I'm constantly asking myself the question, how can I create more personal connection with people? That's why we do this podcast, creating personal connection with people.
Exactly.
That's why, I show up on Facebook Live, creating the personal connection. That's, to me, that's what it's all about.
Completely. And I would, there's an in for everybody. So not everybody has to start in the same place or do things in the same way. And one of the questions I was going to ask you was, well, what's the easiest place to start? And actually that's a red herring question, because it depends on you and your preferences and how you like to do things and what you're most comfortable with as to what the best place to start would be. But I would definitely implore you to think about all the different things you could do, and then pick the one that at the very least sounds the least horrible to you, and do that, and start doing that consistently and see what happens. Because you have to build up this thing called know, like and trust, or these things called know, like and trust. And the very first one, the know, you have to tell people who you are and what you do. Otherwise, you won't have a business, because nobody will know you, and they won't know about you. So even if it's just putting out an article on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever your target audience hang out, which is, let's face it, probably LinkedIn. Oh well, just put something out there. Don't worry about the number of likes or comments or anything else that you get on that. That is not the point of doing these things. Yeah, it's great if you have something that goes viral and all the rest of it. I've had a post go viral. I've had an email go viral. I've had a lead magnet go viral. It hasn't actually brought me a sudden rush of business, right? But what it has to do is build up the bank of people that know about me, which means that when it's the right time and the right place for them, they come and seek me out. So, this person I was
Yeah.
talking about that's come across me and asked me to look at his website. Great. Well, he's found out about me somewhere. I've had a referral in the last couple of weeks from somebody who was referred to me by somebody who I don't know who the person referring me was. And
Yeah.
okay, that's great. Thank you for telling me that person's referred me, but I have no idea who they are. But clearly they've come across me at some point from some of the stuff that I've been putting out there because people know me. And that's the
Yeah.
first step, isn't it? You've got to
Yeah.
help people understand who you are and what you do. If you are petrified of being exposed, being out there and having people comment on your stuff, then that's the place you start, is by attacking those limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And we were talking,
Yeah.
weren't we, about trolls and all that kind of thing. There are some people in the world that like nothing more than to try and gaslight people. That's the phrase, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, when you're first starting out in this stuff, it would be very, very unusual for you to attract those sorts of people. I mean, what's the most likely outcome for you is that people aren't going to comment and aren't going to like your posts. That doesn't mean they're not being read. It absolutely doesn't mean they're not being read.
Absolutely. I was just looking for this email that I've now found because it just absolutely illustrates, what we've been talking about here. So I got this email in response to one of our emails about the Complete Trainer, actually. And she said, "Dear Sharon, firstly, I wanted to say thank you for all the great information on the website, Facebook group and PDFs that I'm ploughing through now. It's exactly what I've been looking for, and excellent, and all excellent as I tentatively set up shop to go big as soon as possible. I'd really like to sign up for the Complete Trainer course. Either I've been meaning to send a big thank you email to you and all since I found you a few weeks ago." Happy days. That's exactly what we want, isn't it? So,
Totally.
but the point is, I did not know who this person was.
Exactly.
You should be reading all my stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, completely. And sometimes this sort of building up of the personal connection is going to feel like a bit of a one-way street. You're sending stuff out there and you don't know what you're going to get back, but it's got to be the right time, the right place, which means people will come and find you when they need you. But you've got to be doing your stuff consistently. It's no good just having a week of marketing or one day of marketing in a blue moon, because your stuff is going to get lost in the ether. It is a drop in the ocean. But if you are consistently sending your stuff out there, then the little trickle becomes a stream, becomes a river, becomes a huge great waterway of stuff that you have built up that people can tap into and go, oh yeah, they're exactly the right person for me. So so important.
There you go.
Alrighty.
That was marketing. That's the M word.
Endeth the lesson.
Endeth the lesson, indeed.
So if you
talk about dogs,
well, yeah, let's talk about dogs. But just one thing to say is, if you will probably be listening to this after lap 2 of the Complete Trainer has started, but that doesn't mean you can't come in and take advantage of all the goodness that's there. So if this is firing you up to go, yes, I need more of this good stuff, then do get in touch on that one. But yes, let's talk about dogs. Dog Walking Digest. Yay! How's Jem? Apart from very excited.
Jem, she's well. First things first, obviously, she went to the groomers on Saturday, so she's looking extremely beautiful because she's all fluffy. Hello, you're up, are you?
Morning, Ryan.
What? Bye. Okay, hello.
We're recording here.
I know. So she is all beautiful. She's like lovely and soft and silky. They use this beautiful coconut oil shampoo. It's just really lovely. So she's very beautiful. So she had a lovely time there. And but then it's really funny. Like twice this week, we know this thing about doggy intuition. They just know things, don't they? So twice this week, she's demonstrated that clearly. So the first thing, well, she had to go to the vets. Well, I thought she had to go to the vets. It turned out it was the wrong day. But anyway, never mind. So I decided it was a lovely evening on Wednesday. So I thought, well, it's only down the hill. So I thought I'll walk her down there. So walked down, and literally from the moment I came out of my house, got to the end of the road, she walks down that hill pretty much every day. From the moment she got to the top of the hill, started walking down, she was walking so slowly. It was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally doing that where I almost like digging the heels in.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. I got to the point where I'm just going to have to carry her. It's just ridiculous because it's, but then I kept persevering. And then we got out to the entrance outside of the vets. And then the heels went in like, I am not going in there, thank you.
Uh-huh.
To which, and so we went in to the reception, and then she was looking, and then she said, "Oh, it's tomorrow." I was like, "Oh God, okay, well, come back tomorrow." And literally, then I turned out, went back out the door, and she's literally, she's literally virtually running down the hill, like, it's like, how do they know? How does she know?
Yeah.
That she's going to the vets when I'm just walking down the same hill that she walks every day. So there's that. And then secondly, on Sunday morning, so obviously Ryan's flight was coming in, but he wasn't going to come until probably about 5 o'clock. So they had to go down to Heathrow and get him. So I took her out for a walk fairly early on Sunday morning because this rain was forecast in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Didn't actually materialise. So our after lunch walk was actually about 11 o'clock. So we got back to the house fairly early. So I had all afternoon with her. And literally, she was like pacing up and down. Normally, she'd just be asleep. Pacing up and down. She kept going to the door. And then she'd sit down and she'd just be awake, but she'd look at the door, just keep staring at it, things like that. How do you know that he's coming? That he's going to walk through the door at 5 o'clock? How does she know?
Yeah.
How does she know? It's bizarre.
It is odd, isn't it?
Bizarre.
I mean, Mum always says when during normal times when I'm off out doing my hockey stuff on a Saturday, she said Scamp always knows about half an hour before I walk in the door. He will come down from upstairs and he'll be kind of, pacing around or be on the sofa or be very alert to any cars going past and that kind of thing. It's just they do. They pick up on the energy. They know for sure.
Well, we know the whole thing. Those of you who've been long-term listeners of the podcast will know that all this business we had with Jen, which we thought was doggy dementia, turned out to just be, sensitivity to us moving house. It's like she knew. She just knew.
Yeah, totally. It's weird, isn't it? I mean, there is so much that we, as a race, don't know about energy and that kind of thing. That animals absolutely. They might not be able to articulate it, but they know it's there.
I know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So so not a huge amount to report with Scamp this week. I must start making a note of things because I've got, sort of prickling my brain is going, there was something that you were going to say on the Dog Walking Digest. Can't for the life of me remember what it was. Over the weekend, typical, normal sort of stuff. Scamp and Copper are like, they're like teenagers or toddlers sometimes, more to the point, that don't know how to share for sure. So Copper had a bone, one of these rawhide bones, which normally gets taken away. Unless there's one for Scamp as well, it gets taken away when Scamp is around because otherwise too much jealousy or the rest of it. But anyway, when the family were there yesterday, they go, oh, he must have the bone, he must have the bone. And normally we put it on top of the shelving unit, and he could tell it was there. He couldn't necessarily see it, but he could tell it was there. So he's begging for this bone. So they go, oh, let's give him the bone, give him the bone. And so we know what's going to happen. What he's going to do is if everybody ignores him, he will then parade it around until somebody tries to take it away from him and try and parade it in front of Scamp. So Scamp was on the sofa in the living room. Sure as eggs are eggs, he gets the bone, goes straight into the living room, and he's walking around the table like this going, look at my bone, like this. And so Scamp's going, no, I'm not looking, like this. It's like, oh no, this is going to go horribly wrong. But he's so funny because he will sort of, he'll quite happily chew it, and then he'll realise that nobody's paying him any attention. So it's like, right, who can I go and annoy so I can get some attention? It's just so, I mean, you can see it happening. It's like little actual human being toddlers when they start learning how to argue or answer back, and you can see them arguing themselves into a corner. It's like you can see it coming with the dogs, like, no problem whatsoever. But yeah, anyway,
Anyway, right. Okay.
Right.
And on that note, I think we're done for this week, aren't
I
we?
think we are. Thank you as always for your time and patience. Lovely listeners, lovely viewers. We did have somebody say how much they enjoyed the fact that we were on YouTube this week.
Indeed.
So,
Yes.
you know, thank you for that. Much appreciated. And we will speak to you again next week. That's it.
Yeah. Take
Take
care.
care.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.